Hello and welcome to another episode of the BA News Show with your hosts, myself, that's Rich, and Tabz.
Hi everybody.
We hope you're all doing well. Remember to catch the BA News Show every Friday at 5. Absolutely jam-packed show this week. We've got next gen all over the place. We've got Tony Hawk's, which is super excited about. We've got Ghost of Tsushima news. Oh, it's off the chain this week, isn't it, Tabz?
Yeah, it's like a mini E3 or something. There's just stuff coming through. I mean, we've even had Paper Mario, is it the Origami King or something, dropped just a few hours ago. We can't keep up with it.
This is it.
It's impossible.
But before we get into the plethora of news, what have you been playing this week, Tabz?
Mostly been playing The Witcher 3. So yeah, as promised, I've been really trying to get into this. It's one of the ones that got away from me. And I'm a few missions in now, and it's starting to blossom. I'm starting to get ingratiated with the controls, because initially it's so vast, it's so large, there's so much overwhelming you in terms of RPG content. It nearly put me off, but yeah, I'm getting there now, really loving it, getting used to the world, the universe. Can't wait for more. What about you,
Awesome,
Rich?
mate. Well, I've played God of War sort of at the weekend, early part of the week, and actually managed to 100% that, which I was really pleased with. And Tabz was helping me on the stream on that one. Hopefully some people saw that. And actually have not really played any games since then. Been really busy with projects around the house and stuff, so I've not played much since then. So I was planning to start Detroit, is it Being Human?
Becoming Human.
Yesterday, but I just ran out of time, so look out for that on the stream soon, hopefully maybe tomorrow if I find time. But I guess we need to press on into the news tabs. So first story sort of came out of the blue for us in many ways, because I wasn't expecting this. I don't know about you, Tabz, and it is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remakes. Boom!
So here I am, pretending I'm a Superman. Yes, mate. Dead chuffed about this.
Absolutely. Yeah, so basically the two games have been ground up, completely rebuilt. It's being done by Vicarious Visions of Crash remake fame, and they're remaking the game on behalf of Activision. Most notable additions, other than the complete overhaul of the graphics, which look incredible compared to the originals, as you can imagine, will be online multiplayer. Creator Park has been significantly overhauled, and there's now a Create a Skater mode, and it's going to include original levels, classic pro skaters, old school tricks, most of the iconic songs. I understand they've not managed to get all the licensing for all of the original songs, so some songs may be missing, but we're super excited about this game. Both that me and Tabz and lots of our friends absolutely loved. My missus loved them, so she's super excited about this. So yeah, super excited for this one.
Oh, it just evokes so many kind of teenage memories, doesn't it? And it was almost part of the cultural fabric back then. Got you into all this kind of indie alternative music and that almost that culture, that scene. So yeah, I mean, they're labeling it a remaster, I believe, Activision. However, it looks more or less a remake, doesn't it? In terms
Absolutely.
Of the end entirely overhauled.
I mean, the graphics completely changed, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, we've said I'd be interested to see what they do with the videos that that you normally would see after completing each story run through with individual skaters. Tended to get like a sort of a montage of their best tricks.
Yeah, almost like on a sort of handheld camcorder, so sort of like thing, wasn't it? If I remember.
And I remember seeing Rodney Mullins for the first time and thinking, "Oh my God, this guy's a god!"
Hilarious.
So impressed. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they make it all work. But seemingly, obviously, I've not played the game, but from the look of it on screen, it looks like it will feel good. You know, it looks like it will feel satisfying, like the original, but perhaps with a few modernizations. And it looks also like they've got the revert trick, even perhaps in the first game.
Yeah, it does, because that was a thing that sort of came later on. That was where you could sort of do a manual out of a trick to another trick, so that your combos were basically continuing all the time. Well, yeah, from the shots we've seen, it looks like they're bringing that to this game. So potentially some slight quality of life features from newer games are being brought into the older games, which is something to be happy about, really.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing because it just kicks up that skill ceiling in the game that little bit more. The whole, linking tricks for potentially a whole run if you're good enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yes, brilliant. But shall I move this on?
Move us on, Tabz, to the second piece of news this week.
So yeah, as we recently got the release date for the Ghosts of Tsushima. Am I saying that right now? It's a hard one to say.
I say Tsushima, but it could be Tsushima. Anyway.
Let us know, BArcadians, in the comments. Correct us, please do. But anyway, yeah, we know that's going to be released. Is it July? Is it something like the 18th, 19th of July?
17th, I think, top of my head.
So basically, there has been a collector's edition that's hit the shelves. I think, at least in the UK, it's exclusive to game. And just so you're aware, in the UK, it's costing £159.99. Comes with a Sakai mask with stand, which looks awesome, a cloth mat, Sashimono wall banner, Furoshiki wrapping cloth, steelbook case, 48-page mini art book by Dark Horse, and then basically some digital content alongside it. But yeah, suffice to say, Rich and I have already got it on pre-order.
Yeah, we spoke about this, and you said to me, "Do you think it's worth it?" And then I was like, I don't know. And we both went away after the phone call saying, "I will think about it." And it sounds like we both went away, watched a gameplay video, and then just ordered it anyway.
Yeah, there was an 18-minute gameplay video that you shared, and I just watched that again and thought, because my biggest concern was, what is the game actually going to be good? It looks great, but is it actually going to play well? And that video convinced me. And luckily, Rich, well, I think at 9 p.m. tonight, again, UK time, we've got a state of play, which is going to deliver us up, another 20 minutes or so, perhaps, of gameplay.
This is it, which is incredible, really. So they're really ramping this up, aren't they? You'd think, given the fact Last of Us was coming before it, they wouldn't want to take too much away from that, but they seem like they're rolling on this one straight out there.
Yeah, maybe some of the damage that's been done to The Last of Us Part 2 is the cause of that. But either way, I'm really excited about this one. And yeah, BArcadians, if you like the look of this collector's edition, well, I don't know if it's sold out or not, go and grab it on Game in the UK.
Absolutely, there's some really cool stuff in there. So definitely, probably one of the bits I'm going to enjoy most, I think, given how good this game looks, is the mini art book. So I think that could be really cool.
And the Ghost of Tsushima gameplay drop is actually happening for you, BArcadians. Well, it's already happened. This will be releasing tomorrow, Friday, the 15th. So get straight on YouTube and check that out if you already haven't.
Cool, so moving us on, we have probably what was the biggest jaw-dropping moment of next gen that I've had so far. It was the moment I've been waiting for. I thought I was going to get it when we saw some gameplay footage from Xbox on their reveal the other day, but it didn't really happen. And this is Epic releases PS5 Tech Demo. Now this is a tech demo running in the Unreal Engine, and it is running in real time apparently on a PS5, and it is incredible. It just looks wow. I mean, it literally looks it looks like the kind of created images we see in Hollywood films. It's that good.
Hollywood CGI. I wish I could share the text chat on WhatsApp, Rich, as we were both watching. I think one of your comments was, I think my head's going to fall off or explode or something
I just couldn't, honestly. It was the moment I'd been waiting for to really ka-ching in the next generation of consoles, and that was the moment. I'll never forget that.
This is it. I mean, just to crunch into some of the details, this has been released by Epic Games, Fortnite creators, Unreal Engine 5, and apparently it won't be available for public consumption until 2021. I'm sure they're working with partners, developers who will probably have access prior, but it's, it might not hit the industry at large until next year, which is interesting. But I think, Rich, that we should discuss the two key features that were mentioned in this demo as part of the engine that really seem to make it, give us this next-gen wow factor. And that's the Nanite and Lumens systems. So I don't know, do you want to just give us a little bit of a blurb on, should we start with Nanite?
So the Nanites seems to be a new way of doing they spoke of how much did they talk about triangles in this video. I didn't realise until I watched it back, but it basically relates to a way of rendering everything, but in a way that it only really renders to a quality what you see in front of you. And it also allows you to bring in CGI created like assets that you've made in like movie type programs without having to scale them back and add textures on the top. It can take that asset exactly as it is and put it straight in, and it's an incredible what they've done with this.
Absolutely spot on. I mean, we've got a quote here from Tim Sweeney, CEO, I think, at Epic Games. He says, the philosophy behind it goes back to the 1980s with the idea of RAISE, which stands for render everything your eye sees. And essentially, in a nutshell, I think this Nanite is like a smart rendering technology that is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for developers. And essentially, it means that, like you say, Rich, developers are able to drag and drop these premium assets across. And the system's going to do all the heavy lifting in terms of how they're rendered to the gamer. They're not going to be rendered necessarily like for like, the same quality at all times. The system seems to be constantly, almost dynamically scaling the rendering. So we can't perceive any change in the quality of the visuals, but behind the scenes, there is a change going on to, save performance, essentially. That was my understanding of it, Rich. But, what does it look like? It just looks like almost real life, doesn't it?
I mean, it looks like, have you seen Final Fantasy, the movies they made where the whole thing was CGI created? It literally looks like that. It's incredible, the detail that they've managed to get through. And the fact that we're not going to see texture pop up, that's going to be a thing of the past with this type of technology. It's groundbreaking. Absolutely groundbreaking.
They've also said that, you only have to drop the assets in and build the game once. And this system, this Unreal Engine 5, is still going to be targeting the same systems as the Unreal Engine 4. So essentially, you just have to drop the assets in and build the game once, and the engine will scale it to all these other systems, which just makes, again, it's very developer friendly and probably save a great deal of time and help to optimize, for each console. So, it's really exciting. How closely this is tied, because as we know, it's a PS5 Tech Demo, to the PS5 hardware, we're yet to really find out, because certainly with the SSD in the PS5, as we've heard, is better than the Xbox Series X SSD. I'd be very interested to know if that's actually going to have an effect on, the graphics we'll see on these two platforms. Because essentially all this fantastic geometry is having to be pulled from memory. And if the throughput can't keep up with it, well, we might just see that PS5 can actually render more intricate, more detailed environments than the Xbox Series X, despite the fact it's got a more powerful GPU.
Absolutely.
But we should go back, shouldn't we, Rich, to lumens, which in conjunction with this Nanite, this geometry technology, really makes a big difference, because it's not just the geometry itself, but it's the lighting, isn't it, Rich? Yeah,
exactly. So this is, as I understand it, almost a halfway house between, they call it base lighting, do they call it, Tabz? I can't think what it is. Baser lighting?
I think it's when it's like the lighting's baked in.
Baked, that's it. That's the word I was looking for, yeah. So baked, this is like a halfway house between baked lighting, which is where it's set so the light doesn't necessarily move with you. The light is constant in one area. And ray tracing, which we know is absolutely amazing, but we also know that ray tracing is incredibly hardware intensive. This sort of sits in sort of a grey area in the middle, which sort of takes away that hardware intensiveness and streamlines it in a way that maybe it's not so hardware intensive and it's optimized.
This is it. It's not going to be as physically accurate a simulation as ray tracing, but it's an approximation of a dynamic, global illumination system, which looks very convincing and will probably do the bulk of the work. Which still leaves room, though, for developers to layer in aspects of ray tracing piecemeal. So, it might be for reflections, for example, which, as you say, Rich, gives back that kind of performance headroom and allows you to balance that game, in a lot more customizably, if that makes sense.
And I think that's very interesting, because the one thing we've had concerns is the wrong word, but intrigue about was whether the ray tracing that we're seeing talked about in the likes of the Xbox Series X and the PS5, whether it is on par with RTX from Nvidia and the equivalent from AMD. Because we'd said, well, hang on a second, if you want an RTX, say, 2080 graphics card, which is sort of giving you the type of power that we're talking about in the Series X and the PS5, well, that's £1,000, £1,200 graphics card. Well, hang on a sec, how are they going to get that amount of technology in a price that's affordable to everybody, that is going to be, well, not necessarily everybody, but, you know, an affordable price for people to think that that's unacceptable for a console? Well, I think we're now coming to terms with what's actually happening is that we're going to see this ray tracing is used, but it's not a fully implemented ray tracing. We're going to use systems like this, which look incredible, and that is how they can get away from the fact that they don't need the oomph that you necessarily get from an RTX graphics card.
Spot on, yeah. It's the balance between those components that work together in synergy to deliver, you know, this ultimate solution. And if one part in that chain of components is not, you know, is essentially bottlenecking, well then, you know, you can have the best GPU in the world, but it's not going to stand for all that much in practical terms. But just to finish on this one, Rich, you know, certainly this Tim Sweeney chap, CEO of Epic, he says something along the lines of, it means being able to render an approximation which misses none of the detail that you're able to perceive, and once you get to that point, you're done with geometry. So he's basically saying that this is, you know, we're basically done with geometry. We don't need to worry about, you know, limitations anymore. Now, what I would be interested to see is in other environments, not just kind of a rocky cavern as such, but maybe lush jungle environments with shrubbery everywhere. You know, are there going to be any limitations on geometry? Is this the be all and end all solution to geometry problems? It would be amazing if it was, but it still remains to be seen whether that's perhaps some marketing speak to deliver the wow factor.
There's also suggestion on these lines that we're not going to see games like we've seen them before, where open worlds aren't necessarily open worlds. They have these corridors that sort of lead you from area to area while it loads areas. Well, that's been spoke about significantly on SSDs. And the fact that that's what's one of the things that's going to be sort of forthcoming in the next generation of consoles. Well, this is a system that will allow that, because of this sort of, well, like, you choose how much information you load based on where the person is. So as they move forward, you load less, you know, and more and stuff. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because they're literal gameplay representations of bottlenecks, aren't they?
Yes.
The way they design those.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's exactly what we're talking about. So, yeah, I mean, if we can do away with those, it's an exciting new landscape for video games.
It really is.
But we should probably move on, Rich, shouldn't we? Because we're getting too excited on this one.
Absolutely. Well, it's outstanding. That's all we can say in this point. So moving on to more PS5 rumours. So there's a potential that we are going to see a PS5 reveal on June the 4th. And this comes from GamesBeat's Jeffrey Grubb, who most notably stated the date of the 4th of June. Now soon to be a Bloomberg reporter, Jason Schreier, is that Tabz?
Jason Schreier
has thrown his own hat in the ring with a ring of speculation. In a new interview with Press Start, Schreier is asked whether or not there is any credibility to the rumours in question, and he responds by saying, as far as I know right now, Sony is still on track to do at least one thing by early June, let's say, or by mid-June, let's say. And that comes from Push Square. So I think this is really, really interesting. So, we're sort of leading up to a time where I would expect us to see a reveal of the PlayStation 5, at least more on the lines of what a consumer of the PlayStation 5 would want, rather than what a developer would want.
This is it. I'm not sure about Jeffrey Grubb, but certainly Jason Schreier has a lot of credibility in the industry. So if he's saying something on this, I think it's almost a sure thing. I mean, he leaves that window open from June the 4th to mid-June, but let's start revving our engines. And in the same article in Push Square, they do mention that, you know, we could see things like a Demon's Souls remake, which is heavily rumoured, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, sequels to God of War and Marvel's Spider-Man. So, I mean, can you just imagine next-gen trailers along the lines of what we've just seen in Unreal Engine 5 dropping in June time.
I mean, I tell you what, if they drop a trailer of all of those things, even if they just dropped a Horizon Zero Dawn trailer, the internet would be alight. People would be going mad.
Oh, it's going to be a special time.
It really is.
Absolutely.
But move us on, Tabz.
So what we got up next? Well, again, staying with PlayStation and Sony, we are just going to talk briefly about a new brand they've released. So this is the PlayStation Studios brand. Essentially a very kind of Marvel Cinematic Universe style branding, it seems. And the gist of it, from what they're saying, I think Eric Lempel, the Senior Vice President and Head of Global Marketing for Sony, the purpose of that is to make the consumer understand that when they see this brand, they're getting ready for a robust, innovative, deep experience that they've come to expect from games coming from PlayStation. So, you know, we're talking the likes of Uncharted, Little Big Planet, God of War, Ratchet & Clank, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us. I think they're just looking for an umbrella to, you know, a brand, an icon to really instill that kind of consumer confidence. And, you know, I suppose it's a good thing to see. You know, they're obviously keen on making sure that reputation for delivering brilliant, deep first-party experiences is here to stay, and is at the forefront, I suppose, of their business model and their marketing campaign. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
Absolutely,
on that,
I think this is just, you know, when you're playing any of these games, I mean, that's a big list of heavy-hitting games there, and I think they just want that, you know, message to come across and to be a logo that everyone can go, okay, yeah, we know who's made this, we know who's part of this, and have it all under one umbrella rather than have different logos and stuff like, you know, this studio, that studio, etc. I think it's just a way of sort of streamlining and going, all of these belong to us, so to speak.
And if they can get that consistency, well, it's a bit like Nintendo, isn't it? Who we know are renowned for delivering really good quality experiences.
Absolutely.
You can almost, you know, forego a review in the case of a lot of first-party Nintendo games. And that's, I think, what PlayStation are going for here. You see that on the box, we know that's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
You just need to like the look of it and you can buy it.
And that's it. I think over time, this sort of logo and branding will become synonymous with, you know, big games, and you'll go, oh, what's this coming from this new studio? But it, you know, it might be being from one of the studios underneath this umbrella, but it's like a logo for us all to associate with big hitting, you know, epic games from Sony, basically.
Indeed, which hopefully will be delivered, the next gen versions of them all, very soon. BArcadians.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned.
So that sort of brings us to a close on what has been a mega week in the games industry in terms of news. Just news items all over the place, left, right and centre. So and a lot of excitement. I'm super hyped for all the things we've seen this week, and with, you know, June just round the corner and potential more to come. Yeah, super excited for what's to come. I don't know about you, Tabz.
No, absolutely. Let us know what you think, BArcadians. Dead excited to hear what you thought to this Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. You know, what the ramifications are for it in the coming months and years for the games industry. I just want to talk more about it. It was so exciting, and I'm sure Rich and I would love to do another video on the subject. If you want to see anything, let us know.
Absolutely. So we hope you enjoyed the BA News Show this week. If you did, definitely give us a like. That really helps grow and support the channel. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for notifications. And I think that's all we've got time for. Another one for the archive.
Stamped and completed.